Welcome. In this video, we will discuss about how the SC has stayed the Andhra Pradesh High Court ordered to study the constitutional breakdown in a state. So before we actually go into the nitty-gritty of this particular stay which has been put into the motion by the Supreme Court, let's try to understand little bit of background. So there has been tussle going on in the Andhra Pradesh state between the government, the executive government, and the judiciary. In fact, there has been recently a lot of what you can call kind of a war-like situation where judiciary is blaming the government to kind of have a war like social media war against them to smear the image of judiciary. On the other hand, the government, in fact, the Jagan Mohan Reddy, who is the CM of the Andhra Pradesh, has went ahead and write a letter to the Chief Justice of India saying that the High Court is hostile towards him. So all these things were going on in the backdrop when this particular thing actually came into picture. Now, what is the present scenario? Let's try to understand. So what happened now was that the first of all, let's just try to understand that while hearing a habeas corpus petition, High Court ordered that it will look into the matter whether there is a constitutional breakdown in the state or not. So that is what happened in the High Court judgment, and this is what has been stayed by the Supreme Court now. Now, from your polity perspective, these are all the context thing that you should know to remember it properly. But from the polity perspective, or specifically from your examination point of view, what you need to know is that first of all, constitutional breakdown. As such, this word itself has nowhere mentioned in the constitution. So this expression directly is not mentioned in the constitution. What is mentioned in constitution is actually under the article 356, which says that the constitution deals with the provision in case of failure of constitutional machinery in state. So that is the word which is mentioned in the constitution, which is the failure of constitutional machinery in the state, not the constitutional breakdown. This is something which High Court in its judgment has pointed out. Just remember that. But this power also, under what article 356, the power is vested exclusively with the executive, and nowhere the judiciary actually can go ahead and ask for such a thing. So that is what actually the point of contention. In fact, SC has said that this judgment does not hold any good. High Court, or for that matter even Supreme Court, does not have any say in imposition of what is called as precedent rule. So your article 356 deals with the precedent rule, and according to the article 356, it can only be decided by the executive. What do you mean by executive? It is your council of ministers along with the prime minister at the center and the president. So this is the power which is exclusively, if vested with executive, how the judiciary should get involved. So it was not up to the High Court to inquire and recommend precedent rule in a state, and this is definitely way beyond the what you can say jurisdictional limit of the High Court, and that is why Supreme Court has now put a stay on it. Now let's go forward a little bit more and try to understand the concept of separation of power. So what is this separation of power? So basically, unlike US, where every organ of the government is separate and do not have any relationship with each other, the separation of power in India is followed mostly on a partial basis. So we have separation of power of judiciary. Judiciary is entirely independent, but the other two wing, which is the legislature and executive, are dependent on each other. Executive and legislature in India are dependent. How? You should remember that executives are responsible to legislature. You must have heard that the council of minister is responsible to Lok Sabha, right? If they are not able to get the confidence of the Lok Sabha, they would be like they have to resign, or they have the no confidence motion could be passed against them. So from that perspective, you can understand that we have partial separation of power in India. Executive and legislature are kind of dependent on each other, but even then judiciary is entirely independent. Judiciary should not go ahead and do the work of executive, and so the executive. In fact, that is one of the reason why the NJAC, you must have heard about it, National Judicial Appointment Commission, which was formed by the Constitutional Amendment Act, was negated, was overruled by the Supreme Court, saying that it goes against the independence of judiciary. So this is the basic tenet of the polity in India, that separation of power doctrine is followed and is part of the Indian Constitution. So High Court asking for the lookup on the constitutional breakdown, which eventually kind of mean that failure of constitutional machinery in a state, implying towards the precedent rule, is unprecedented and has not been approved by the Supreme Court as well. So this is the background. Now let's just quickly understand few of the things about the precedent rule as well, which is as mentioned in your article 356. We just saw article 356 is the one which actually deals with the precedent rule. It says that if precedent is satisfied with the fact that the constitutional provision cannot be carried out in the state, it can impose the precedent rule. Now, what are the effect that happens if a precedent rule is imposed on a state? First of all, the Council of Minister will not be there. So, Council of Minister get dissolved. State Legislative Assembly is also dissolved. So, there won't be any state legislature assembly to carry out the legislative work. Then who will carry out the legislative work? The power goes directly to the union government. So whenever there is a precedent rule in a state, the power to make laws even in state list. So you already know that there is a Schedule 7 of Indian Constitution which has union list, state list and concurrent list, and according to it, on the state list only the state can make laws. But during the precedent rule, the union government get direct legislative power and it can make laws even on the state legislative. Now the governor actually become the agent of the president, and he is the one who will head the meeting, who will go to the various hearings, and that is the how the president will rule over the state. So it's not like president will directly rule, it is actually through the governor. Also, for some of the things how the precedent rule can actually be proclaimed. So for proclamation, the sanction of both of the houses of parliament is required. So for proclaiming precedent rule in any state, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, both of these has to pass the resolution with the simple majority. So both of these houses of the parliament have to pass the resolution, then only a state could actually come under the precedent rule. What is the time period, till what time that proclamation is actually valid? So it is valid for 6 months after approval. So every time the 6-month time duration is passed, it can again put up on the table of house and it can get approved. But there is a maximum limit. So only till 3 years in any state across India, precedent rule could work, and after that there has to be a general election. This is the idea, that you can get approval every 6 months, but the upper limit is 3 years. Till 3 years only you can get the approval. The proclamation of precedent rule may be revoked by the president at any time by a subsequent proclamation. So this is something important for you to know from the polity perspective, that the precedent rule could be revoked by the president, and for here you do not actually require the approval of the parliament. So you don't have to get the approval of both houses of parliament, but the president himself can issue a subsequent proclamation which says that now he is revoking the proclamation of precedent rule in the state. So these are the few things which are important from your polity perspective. I hope you understand. Now let's just quickly glance through this particular episode which is going on. So on October 1st, the Andhra Pradesh High Court passed an interim order which said on the next day the learned senior counsel appearing on behalf of the state may come prepared to assist the court at whether the circumstances which are prevailing in the state of Andhra Pradesh, the court can record a finding that there is a constitutional breakdown in the state or not. Now this is what actually become the point of contention. How can the judiciary ask whether there is a constitutional breakdown in a state? What kind of setup or mechanism? So as of now, judiciary does not even have a mechanism to figure out whether there is a constitutional breakdown or not. On the behalf of this, when actually state went to the Supreme Court, it said that the order was replicated in 14 writ petition of habeas corpus or allegation against the police inferring in civil dispute. Judiciary has no role in deciding whether there is a constitutional breakdown in a state necessitating the precedent rule. This power is vested executively exclusively in Article 356. So only the executive could decide whether there is a breakdown of the constitution. So for that purpose, for our practical purpose, it is actually the governor who will send the report to the president that there is a breakdown of constitutional machinery in the state, and accordingly the president will impose the precedent rule. So this is how it generally goes. Judiciary has no role in overall process. HC is said that it is a serious encroachment on the powers of executive as enumerated under the constitution, and thus violative of the doctrine of separation of power. I have already explained what the doctrine of separation of power means over here. So this is the overall case which happened right now. SC has stayed this order, which means that ideally now court should understand that they do not have any right to ask for a precedent rule in any state. So this is it for this video. I hope you have understood all the concepts that we studied today. It is also a cue for you to go and revise your emergency chapter. Look out for these precedent rule provision along with the national emergency. What are the differences? What kind of machinery broke down when there is a national emergency, and what kind of effect it has over the union and state relationship. So that will be it. I hope you like this video. If you have any doubt, feel free to drop a comment. Thank you.